What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Press X Podcast, episode 112, your weekly podcast for gaming news and opinions coming at you each and every Monday at noon Eastern. I am Kevin McManus. With me, Todd Broussard.
Hello.
Nick Hassell.
We might not make it through this podcast.
That's true. It is incredibly hot up here. We
And
will.
a monsoon outside.
There's a tornado outside.
They might be related. On this episode, we're going to be going over the DICE Awards winners, so we'll be talking about some of those. Some Pokemon Switch rumors are going around, so we can talk about a little bit of that, and we're going to stick with some Nintendo stuff, talking about the bias of the Nintendo review, and does it exist? We'll see.
Yeah.
Later in the episode.
I just gave it to you right now. Yes.
First, I do want to say, I wore this shirt last week, and I had the computer in front of it the whole time. And I was like, man, that was depressing. Nobody commented on my shirt. So I got my Doki Doki Literature Club shirt from Fury that you pointed out. You're like, hey, they have a cool shirt. So I went and got that. And then I was very upset when I went to edit the episode last week. And I was like, oh, man, it's completely blocked. So
Worst game I've ever played.
we're not getting into this right now. It's a speedrun, Todd, remember. With that said, we can hop into what we've been playing. And Todd, I'm going to start with you.
I've been playing some Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Been playing some Overwatch.
Uh-huh.
So the season ends like tomorrow, so I've just been trying to rank up. And then I've been playing some Injustice. Just strictly playing Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm. How are they going? Are they busted?
Yeah, I think they're busted. I don't think
Which one do you play as?
I've been playing as Michelangelo.
Okay.
And he just like can start a string out low, high, or like an overhead. It's ridiculous. His mix-ups are insane.
I haven't even seen gameplay.
I was just about to say, I haven't watched much of anything on them except for their Clash interactions, because I always look up the Clash videos because I'm curious.
Everyone was like, oh, they kind of suck. And then Sonic Fox was like, oh, let me show you how to play them. And then he just like destroyed all these other... He did like a King of the Hill with all these pro players, like Honeybee and somebody else. And like Dragon, and just like slaughtered all of them, Michelangelo, and they were like, "Oh, I guess this guy's pretty good." But yeah, he's a blast, and everybody online's like freaking out about him now. So
I remember you texted me when it came out because it wasn't on Steam yet or whatever.
Oh, so
and you're
frustrating.
like, "Oh, where's the turtles? I just
Yeah.
want the turtles." And I went on the PlayStation Store and I just took a picture. I'm like, "You just buy them?" You're like, "They're not out on Steam."
Yeah.
We riot.
And then
All
Steam
right.
put out a thing like at 11 a.m. They were like, coming out in an hour. And then they didn't come out an hour. And then like 10 minutes later they came out. And I was like, well, I got to go to school.
Is that it for you?
Yeah, that's it.
Nick, what have you been
Good
playing?
thing we're doing the speedrun episode, because I got 4 games that I played this week. Played more Lazer League, and if you don't remember, that's the game from last week. It's like a Tron-like, like arena sports combat sort of game. You're fighting for control over like laser nodes, and you're doing like everybody run from them and stuff like that. There's 6 classes.
Yeah,
6 or
I
7
watched
classes.
like the how to play that
Yeah.
game video, and it's really cool.
If you watch like that video that I sent, because I had like dug for it a little bit, because if you just go to YouTube and type in Lazer League, it's just like, what am I looking at? sort of thing.
The one it broke down what all the classes do and basically how to win, but it was really neat.
Played a lot of that, leveled up a lot, and started playing like better people. The thing I hate the most about the game is it's one of those where like 5 out of the 6 people are ready, it'll just throw an AI in instead of wait for the 6th guy.
Yeah.
And so if you get the AI, for whatever reason, they always choose like the most important classes, and it feels stupid to double up on classes because you want to like fill in gaps and cover others' weaknesses. So it'll choose like the medic class, which is the one I like to play, and typical AI, like it won't focus on reviving people, and it won't focus on like teamwork aspects. It just focuses on dodge lasers, which I mean is part of the game, but like you need to, it's sort of like dodgeball where like one person can't beat 3 very consistently, stuff like that. So I don't know, that's the only thing I don't like about it, even though it's still in early access, so it could be something that gets changed out here before long. But yeah, loving that. Soundtrack is amazing. It, once again, like Tron, it's just like synth all the way through and really cool. And the matches, one thing I was telling Todd last week, I think, when I showed up and met with him, was it's one of those where the matches can be like 10 minutes, or it can be like 30 minutes, or it's all over the place. So it's not the same game. It's sort of like Fortnite, where sometimes you just get blasted and die, and you're like, well, I'm 88th. Or you get on a streak where you get better, but as you get better, the people you're playing against get better. And so it's like a chess match all of a sudden, where it's just like lengthy, but also just like all these like narrow saves and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool when you get to that level of it. Also played Warhammer Vermintide 2, which is basically, it's kind of taken over Twitch. I mean, not so much as it's overthrowing like League or Overwatch or Fortnite or anything like that, but it's rising up the ranks a little bit. What it is,
like variety streamers are playing it.
What the game is basically take Skyrim or Oblivion's combat and like classes and stuff like that and throw it in Left 4 Dead. So it sounds kind of weird at first, but basically you're taking medieval...
it's in the Warhammer universe.
Yeah, Warhammer universe, but you're taking like Tolkien sort of like characters and you're playing very much Left 4 Dead, where it's like rat enemies and not really like zombies, but I mean they're just flooding and just running straight at you.
They're Skaven.
Whatever. I'm not getting into the specifics. Actually, I am. There's 15 classes you can choose. So that's the cool part about it. Left 4 Dead was cool in the fact that you just played through it multiple times, but it kind of got old after a while because there wasn't much like variety. You just kind of did the same things, except the RNG in the game was maybe this thing can spawn here this time or spawn over there. This one is like there's a progression system. You get classes and abilities, so it's like a hero shooter mixed in with Left 4 Dead. So now you have that reason to grind through it and play over and over and over.
I was always surprised more people didn't copy Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
Like like Evolve sorta kinda tried with their thing, but like I was just shocked that was such a hit of a concept, and it seems like no huge company ever went in for on that.
True. Is it open beta?
It is closed beta, but I got in because I pre-ordered it, and it's like $26, I think, is what it was. So it was an easy choice for me. But I took the Twitch route first and watched people play and go, okay, this is for me, sort of thing.
It looks awesome.
I think just a week ago. I mean, I'm not gonna go check the tapes or anything, but I'm pretty sure I just said I could take another Left 4 Dead, like a Left 4 Dead 3, and here we go. But yeah, it's cool. There's 15 classes that you can choose. I think it's 5 characters, but they have 3 different styles that you can choose.
That's sweet.
But like
literally, you get like different weapons and stuff. Too, right?
Yeah, so and it's got a loot system, not loot box, a loot system where you rank up and you get a chest and you open it up and it's got these weapons and stuff like that. So it's not something you like cash in real money. And I don't know if the full game changes that or what, but at least so far in this closed beta, it's just a typical sort of level up. Here's your loot box. Oh, I got this cool sword this time or whatever. 15 total classes, like I said. I mean, just everything that you can imagine. Everything from like wizards and archers and just everything. It's pretty cool because everyone's got a melee weapon, everyone's got a ranged weapon, and then there's just like vials and potions that you can take that alter stuff. Like you can get stronger, you can heal faster, stuff like that. And it's one of those too where if you die or get killed, or you get downed, and if you get killed while you're on the ground, there's like checkpoints in the maps where you go, and if you die in the kind of like the first area and the second area, you're like tied up and like held as a hostage, so you can go rescue them, and you're right back in the game. So that's cool. I like that you're not just out of it if you die. Third game, Okami HD. Not much to say about this on top of probably a million things I've already said about Okami. Played it on PC. PC controls are kind of weird. I don't think I can use a controller for it. I haven't been able to yet, and I don't know if there's like a workaround for it or what, but playing on PC is a little odd. Looks great, plays great. I played a couple hours of it, so that'll probably dominate this next week because it's not a short game, even though it feels like it ought to be.
Yeah, I thought for sure that was like a 10-hour game at most.
It's very much a 30-plus hour game, but I liked it. It's one of those too where if we're talking about Shadow or talking about anything else, it looks and plays kind of the same way I remember way back when I first played it.
That's an easy one because of the way they chose to do the art with the kind of cel-shaded painted watercolor thing. It probably didn't take that much to make that look pretty.
And there's not too many games with that like Japanese style of soundtrack. I mean, not like J-pop, sort of like Persona 4, not down that route, but just like the bamboo flutes and stuff like that. Like, it makes me think of Jade Empire a lot as far as the soundtrack goes, and I forgot how much I liked the soundtrack until I got back into it. So that was a nice, like, oh yeah, now I remember, because, I mean, I always call it the best Zelda game ever, but it's, it's up there too as far as favorite games of all time. So it's nice to get back into that. I'll be playing that this week. And also got suckered into buying Rainbow Six Siege. So that's what I spent the majority of today doing, was doing the PvE stuff. So terrorist hunt. And what they call, I think they're called scenarios, but it's basically, hey, we're going to give you a hostage rescue. Hey, we're going to give you a just kill everyone. And that's the way it teaches you how to play the game. I think there's an actual tutorial mode too, but that's the cool style of how they made this game. But also, I didn't realize as much, because I tried not to pay attention to it, because I knew I'd get suckered in at some point. Just delayed it as long as possible. I didn't realize how much of this game was a hero shooter, in the fact that it's not powering up and you're waiting for a meter to finish and then you do a cool thing. It's not like that, but it's in the style. It's like a real world example of a hero shooter, because I'm making these names up, but you'll have Todd is an attack guy, and his ability is use these drones to stun enemies, and it's Nick, or you can choose the Nick guy, and it's you can pull up your little wrist pad and you can scan and find all the electronics in an area. And it's choose Kellen. He can use a huge sledgehammer and bust through walls.
Sweet.
And then there's Kevin, who can revive people from across the room or something like that. So everyone's got their abilities, but it's not as drastic as personalities and stuff like in Overwatch. And it's not overbearing where you're hearing this guy's... radio talk chatter over the
airstrike on Zulu.
Yeah.
Oh God. He ulted.
But yeah, there's that game, which is good and bad for me. That game has got so many jump scares, just because of the fact that, I mean, shooting games are already tense, especially if you got the headphones on and you're really into it. But you're okay, I'm the last one left on my team, or it's terrorist hunt, and I know these guys are coming in through this area, and you're just waiting, and then someone busts through the window behind you, or blows out, breaches the wall beside you, and you're just so I think for that alone, this game is much more difficult than the typical Tom Clancy game. Just on normal, or the default.
There's some difficult Tom Clancy games.
Yeah, just for the default difficulty in the game, the terrorist hunt and the the PvE stuff, play against the bots, is exceptionally difficult. So I can only imagine what hard mode and stuff like that feels like. I feel like the old Rainbow Six games, I could do a solo terrorist hunt on the hardest difficulty and still make my way towards the end and have a good shot at winning. This one I can't do solo on the baby mode, so
that's crazy.
But it's cool. It's nice to unlock skins for the guns and unlock sights and all that stuff, and even for each hero, or I think they call it operator, each character that you unlock, you can get skins and outfits and helmets and stuff like that for them. So it's the good kind of loot box system where you're rolling for this helmet or this outfit, rather than you're rolling for the gun that's going to kill everyone, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's really
cool. Is that on sale on Steam right now?
Yeah. There's 5 or 6 versions you can buy. One's just the baby, there's basic mode. Don't buy that one because its value sucks. I think it's $13 or $16, something like that. And it goes all the way up to $90 for includes everything. You get these operators, you get this cool stuff. It's pretty cool. And I think some of the more expensive versions you buy, it makes everything in-game cost cheaper. So it's got really insane value, actually. And I think this is season 3 of it, so it's pretty cool. I like that it does a really good job, and that seems to be the consensus on the game of, oh, hey, you're bored doing this, we'll give you something else. Hey, you're bored doing that, we'll give you something else.
That's cool.
And that's where games like Destiny and these other titles that are trying to last through the years are failing at the moment, at least.
Yeah.
So really cool. Look forward to playing more. Maybe even with Kellen if he ever stops working.
Is that it from you?
Tried to play Bayonetta, but since you can't plug the Ethernet in to the Switch, the Wi-Fi download was going real slow, and I got real impatient. But I'll be playing that next week.
So I played through Shadow of the Colossus. I'm not going to go too far into it. Obviously, that game is incredible. I like everything that they did with the remake. It's beautiful. They did a great job. Really hoping that Ico is next. That's good. I'm calling that as an E3 prediction. That I'm picking the Ico remaster.
Of which year? Oh, this
This year.
Oh,
I like that's going to be one of my E3 predictions. But yeah, it's great. We did a spoiler talk video on the new version of Shadow, so you can go check that out after this video, please. On top of that, I've been playing Fortnite. The Battle Pass Season 3 dropped, so hopping into that, just some quick changes that they've done. They're trying to get away from dailies because people complained that it became kind of grindy, and now they're doing weeklies. So every week they give you a list of challenges to do, but they don't like go away at the end of the week. So you have the whole season to do all these challenges, and then once you pay for the battle pass, you unlock everything that would be unlocked from doing them, or you can pay first and then try to unlock.
I feel like the only games that can get away with dailies anymore are like mobile games or MMOs.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
If you play MMOs, you don't play anything else.
Yeah.
Or if you do.
Yeah, well, that's
mobile
what they
games.
want out of Fortnite is you to not play anything else.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is people don't want to not play anything else. Like this is the game when you have all your buds on and you're going to go in. Like sometimes people want to do something, by themselves, and maybe they don't want to hop into Fortnite by themselves for the night and do grind dailies.
Yeah.
So anyway, they did this weekly system, and I like it. I do think that there's some flaws in it, but it's definitely a step up. They have general weekly or basically general challenges that have like win a match and you get credit, and so like things that I've wanted like that. Land in 10 different named spots. So they're encouraging you to check out the map, basically. And it seems like every week, there's only one right now, but every week of dailies is going to be focused on a different map spot. So it's like get X kills in this area of the map, open X chests in this area of the map. So it's nice because they're trying to get people to explore and become familiar with all of the map, which makes sense. My only complaint about that is everybody gets the same one. So certain areas of the map super crowded right now because everybody's landing there trying to do their daily. So the only critique to that I would have is I wish it was just random what place you got. That way it spreads out the map more. People aren't landing in Tilted Towers. They're all landing in Pleasant Park. Like
it is kind of nice if you're playing with like squads and you just all have the same challenge that you need to do.
I do agree, and I think that that's a separate thing that they could add where you can sync up your dailies or something like that if you have a squad.
That should help you with single player, though, because if it's like go land at this lake over here, then you just land somewhere else and get all the cool stuff and then just pick them.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the idea of what they're doing. I think it just needs to be tweaked a little bit. And then on top of that, they do still have dailies, but you only get one a day, so it's not as big of a deal. And they can stack a little bit, so that's nice. As far as the rewards for the Battle Pass go, it's 100 tiers now instead of 70, so that you get 30 plus extra items. I'm not as impressed with the items this season as I was the first season. I thought the first season's dances were better. I thought the first season's skins were better. That being said, this isn't bad, and you're able to pay for it with your V-Bucks. And if you finish the season, you get like 1,500 V-Bucks, so it pays for itself, cool. Which is nice. So I've still only paid $10 into the game, and I've done Season 2, paid for Season 3, and I have enough to buy Season 4 at this point. So that's nice. Cool. Yeah. Next up is Final Fantasy 12. I just hopped into this real quick, kind of check it out. This is going to be my new RPG that I'm delving into on console. Star Wars Final Fantasy. That is absolutely what it seems like. You said it was like KOTOR, and it seems like Star Wars in way more ways than just KOTOR.
If you end up liking this game, probably right after, like on the heels of it, is probably your best bet to play KOTOR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hopped back into KOTOR a little bit, but
long time backlog.
But like even the cinematics and stuff, like it looks like prequel Star Wars stuff, and prequel Star Wars like worlds and stuff are really cool. So I'm down with this world already. I'm like, oh okay. So I'm just getting into that though. Mm-hmm. And then next up is Yis Origins. I've hopped into that because I finished 8 and I really liked it, and this threw me for a loop because it's very different. Playing it on Vita, I think that's the best place to play it. I don't know if I would get very far in this game on PS4. On Switch, it would be fine. It is not top-down, not side-scroller. It's kind of like that Gauntlet Diablo-style gameplay where it's kind of like a 2/3 of the way, but it's sprite work. So it looks kind of like a PlayStation 1 game, like a Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's really pretty. And there's still like platforming and stuff in it, so like you get the ability to hover and do these things, but it plays more like a dungeon crawling. I don't want to say bullet hell, because bullet hell kind of implies that you die in one hit and you're dodging constantly, but it is more like a Diablo or a Gauntlet RPG style game. Where it reminds me a lot of Persona 3 with Tartarus. You start on floor 1 and you're just going up and up, and I think the whole game is just doing this tower of floors, and then there's some story set pieces and bosses in between, but that's what it seems like to me. This game is not that long. It's only like 10 to 13 hours. I think it's a lot shorter than the other ones, and it takes place hundreds of years before Ys 1, so it's just kind of like the world of it being built.
That's cool.
And it does have some familiar things, having only played one of those games. There's items that I've noticed. It's kind of like Zelda. Like, you get the hook shot in every game. Like, I've got some items that I had in the other ones, the same chimes, the same level up noises, things like that. But the weird thing is, you play it, you pick either a male or female character. They have different attacks and stuff. But, like, there's no, like, 2-player mode. And that's what I would want out of a game like this. But on the Vita, it's nice because you can play it muted. It's got, like Persona style. The face pops up and the text bubble thing appears, so you can play it without the music on, which makes it a really good portable game for a car ride or whatever, or if you just want to plug in earphones. But like I said, I don't know how far I would get in this on a console. I think that there's other RPGs I would like to play. So I've heard that all the Ys games are very different. Seems very true. But I'm enjoying it nonetheless. I'm definitely going to delve further. We'll see what happens with it. That's it for what I've been playing. So with that, we can move on to the news, and we'll start with the games with gold have been announced for March, and oh boy, this is a pretty good one. We have Trials of the Blood Dragon. This is the Trials game that was kind of had that like Far Cry Blood Dragon skin over it. It's not a great use of it, but it's cool that it's free. It's not a bad free thing to get. Next up,
I would have liked Blood Dragon more.
Well, yeah. Next up, we have Super Hot.
Yeah.
For the Xbox One, this is, I've only played it in VR, but I've seen the non-VR one, and it's the same idea. This is the first-person shooter where time moves when you move, so you're kind of John Wicking the scenario. You're dodging bullets, and, you're taking out people, and then it plays it all in real time, and it, took you half a second to kill this whole room of people, even though it's more like a puzzle, and you were trying to figure out, the best way to go about it. So that's a really good one. Brave the video game, the hit Pixar movie, got turned into a video game that I'm sure isn't good, and you can play it.
So good it's free.
Yeah, and then Quantum Conundrum, which is a puzzle game done by some of the people from Portal, I believe, worked on this one, and that one's supposed to be really good. I haven't checked it out myself. So, good month.
Not bad.
I give this month a thumbs up. Don't have the PlayStation stuff to compare it to. I guess we'll have that
as per usual, yeah.
And they'll be out, basically, by that time, so whatever. Next up, Burnout Paradise Remastered is coming March 16th. We got the 4K, we got the 60 frames, everything that you could ask for in a remaster. How does this make you feel?
Why wasn't it Takedown? Or even Revenge?
Yeah.
I hear that a lot, but I think that this is a fine way to start. Though I will say, people are making a big deal out of this. I thought I remembered this being announced like last year, even, that they were remaking the Burnout game. And I was like...
I think like Criterion was sort of in the news or something like that. I don't know. It didn't hit me like a shock.
Yeah, I thought I heard this before, and I was like, oh, it's a release date, but then people seem to be treating it like it was new news, and I was like, I'm not going to research it because I don't care that much. That was the extent of it.
I heard about it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool, though. I'm totally down for this. Like I said,
I like these quick-hitting announcements, too.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's out in 2 weeks sort of thing. I like that.
It's awesome. March 16th, right around the corner. Next up, I don't know if you've seen this. I think you kind of like to avoid this stuff, but Pokemon Switch, Pokemon's starting Pokemon have been leaked online. So we're not entirely sure if this is an actual leak or if this is a fake leak, because the Pokemon Sun and Moon starters were also leaked online, and they were real. But that makes it all the easier to fake the next generation.
And I know you haven't been Mr. Pokemon, but every new game that comes out, and each time they talk about a new generation, the worst part about this like rumor cycle is when you really get into them, it's like these three, especially that I'm sure you'll talk about here in a second, If you like them, if you like all of them, or if you like a particular one, sometimes the fans do better like fan creations than what you actually get. So it's just one of those like, that would be.
It's the Star Wars Episode 8 problem where you're like, man, this movie. Oh,
yeah. But man, just for so long, and especially the worst ones are once the game comes out and like the one you really like just gets like a real shitty like evolution at the end. You're like, he looks dumb now. And then someone online with a cool artist account or whatever on a website will just do a doodle like, this is what it should look like. And it's like, why did they not hire you? sort of thing. So that's the only bad thing with like Pokemon Game 78 is people always do these fan creations, and some of them have much better ideas than some of the other ones. But especially now where it's so easy to get people, now that something like Sun and Moon's characters were revealed way early on, you're like, like it plants it in the back of your mind and then starts the cycle all over again.
So this is like, there's like a green, I mean, it's obviously like the leaf starter or whatever, but there's like a green monkey lemur thing. He was okay. He was kind of cool. There's a really cute rabbit that had like fire ears that I liked a lot. And then the one that I feel like most people are excited for is there was like a platypus. There's like a
Did you see
really deep blue platypus.
I'll pull it up. Yeah. Usually the blue one is the most polarizing one.
Oh, okay.
Because it's usually, I mean, in the last iterations, it's always been like, look at the little penguin. Oh, he's kind of cool. And he turns out to be, he gets the big crown and he looks kind of awesome. He's in the Pokken DX game, if you saw him. And then sometimes it's like, it's like a water monkey sort of thing. This sucks. So, and people love Blastoise and stuff like that. So they're usually the most polarizing.
With that said, I guess I'll ask you, Nick, since you've seen them. Do you think these are real?
They look real enough. There's enough like cutesy in them, and like you're talking about, like the fire for the ears. They haven't done these animals yet. Like 90% of me hopes that it's not, but that's only because I really want these games to break out of the fire, water, leaf starters.
I thought you were going the route that I'm going to say, which is if this is Pokemon Switch, I don't want new I want like Gen 1 and 2, like an earlier one to kind of relaunch the series with the Switch and all its new features that it can kind of have. I don't think we need to start our adventure on the Switch with a billion more Pokemon on top of the ones that we already have. Like, I think people would be content, maybe a few new ones, but really, kind of doing the Pokemon Go model where you're really banking on the nostalgia factor of Pokemon.
But to answer your question,
I kind of think that they're fake just because we had the leak last time, and I still think it's too early for a Pokemon game.
I don't know, they look pretty real looking at it right here.
Yeah, I mean,
there's your platypus.
The platypus is sweet.
Yeah, the platypus is sweet. I like the rabbit too.
I feel like it just...
The monkey's dumb.
This is one of those where it looks too good to be true sort of thing. And and like...
You're like, wow, all three of these are pretty decent. This can't be real.
And they went into so much effort to put like confidential...
I know, I saw that too.
I feel like you were trying to oversell it. And we don't even know what the game is. Like, I feel like a console version... I don't know how this like negates these being real or not, but I feel like a console version should just be like, here's Kanto from the first game, here's all the other regions, and they just link into one. Like, because an actual disc-based game can handle that sort of content versus a little cartridge that only has so much space. But
Switch uses little cartridges, buddy.
Bigger cartridge. But I don't know. These just don't.
Yeah, I think it feels
doesn't
like
click
an
in my
overreach
mind. Like,
to
okay,
me
this is it
as well. Though if it was just the platypus, I'd be like, yeah, definitely. But seeing the other ones, we'll see.
And like I said, these are always pretty lethal sometimes because you get into the idea like, man, that platypus is sweet. And then,
and then they reveal it and they're like, look, it's just a crappy duck. And you're like, I don't like this guy at all. All right, let's talk about a raccoon in Biomutant. This got another trailer. This is the THQ Nordic game. Very, not in aesthetic, but in gameplay, very like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta character action game style. This looks cool. I'm just as okay with this game as I was having not watched the trailer with watching it. It didn't change my mind about anything in the game that now I'm like, ooh, now I need it. It's still like that kind of, it's not niche, like super niche, but it's kind of that niche thing where if it comes out and I feel like playing a Bayonetta style game, I'm totally going to get it. And if it comes out and I don't, I'm just not going to get it. Like, it depends at that moment how I feel. So
I had
love the main character though.
It when I watched it, I was just like, this is what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But I don't know. A lot of people are saying it could be like their dark horse kind of pick of the year. And that's what those games are good at least, is kind of flying in under the radar and then showing up. And it's like, what is this game getting like 90s?
Yeah, Bayonetta 2 did that. I mean, to be fair, I bought Bayonetta 2 because everybody seemed to love it. And it came with Bayonetta 1, so that was good enough for me. So I was like, all right, let's see what it's about. And I ended up loving Bayonetta 2. I mean, it's definitely somewhere on our top Wii U game list, so
for sure,
it's very good.
Could end up on our Switch list.
Yeah, whenever
if it didn't take 10 years to install the game.
To do that. Next up, let's talk about Soul Calibur 6. So we got some reveals of some classic characters.
Ooh,
oh, Todd's
man,
excited.
what
We're
a
talking
spicy
about
reveal.
we're talking about a fighting game. Is it a spicy reveal?
Oh yeah,
Really?
Ivy looks hot.
See, I thought the character models were very similar to their old character models, like the PS3 stuff. I was like, oh, I'm not really impressed, whatever. And then it got into the gameplay, and it just looks so much like Soul Calibur 2 again. And I'm like, all right, you got me with the gameplay.
Yeah.
Who's the other dude we got?
I don't know. That guy's trash.
Zasamuel?
Oh,
yeah.
Zasalamel.
Yeah, I got it right. So they have finishing moves in this now, like Tekken and every other game? Yeah, because I saw that at the end of the trailer.
Like, I've watched fights, but they all have been like cinematic with the HUD turned off, and
it's hard to tell.
Like,
So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, you're fine. But so I don't know if it's like Tekken where you get to a certain health percentage, or if you're building up a meter or something like that. So I don't know what cues all these things off, but there's like a parry system. There's like special attacks. Some people, like, I really like Killick, and he's got this like emo, like rage mode thing that he does where he turns into like a demon or something. So there's a lot going on, and I don't know.
It feels like they're channeling Tekken, where Tekken was like, let's go back to the roots. Yeah. We have this really complicated now game. Let's go back to the roots and then add something for kind of new players that pros can master. Yeah. And then,
the cool thing
make it feel familiar but new. And it feels
you have
like
to watch it like 10 times, and you have to know like old Ivy versus like Soul Calibur like 3 and beyond Ivy. Yeah. It showed too in the video where she's got stance changes and stuff like that. So they're pulling the old characters back, but it's not just like, hey, look at the guy or girl you played all the way back then. Like, they feel and look like their old self. Yeah. So that's cool.
Ivy is who I play in Soul Calibur,
awesome,
but I had no like doubt that she wasn't going to be in the game. I like when they were like Ivy revealed, I wasn't like, oh yeah. I was like, oh yeah.
Well, it was just the way they revealed her. Like, all her special moves look really, really nice, and just like her basic attacks. But Ares did, you got to play the game. So I was watching basically his YouTube video on him explaining the game, and you have like, he said it's real simple. You have like a 3-meter system, and most of your abilities, like, you just have like 2 abilities that spin the meter. And then like the rage thing is just like something you can activate like once a game, and it just like does something different for every character.
Interesting.
So they have like it's like a trait kind of system, like a V system. And,
there you go.
In Street Fighter, is what he said it was kind of.
Everyone can activate it, but it does like wildly different things, and
and everyone has some kind of weird like special like skill they have.
And so far, I mean, we've seen a couple other characters, but like Ivy's where she pops them up way kind of almost off screen, but she's doing like, it feels kind of unique to that person, not only for like what it actually does, but it feels like it fits them too. So and Zasalamel was cool too. He's the one with the.
I liked his finishing thing.
He's
he is cool.
I think he's the big black dude, but he's got that like scythe or
he's
something.
The cover of 3, right?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
He is,
but he was pretty popular, so it wasn't just
a new
like
character to 3.
So it wasn't like, oh, there's Ivy and that guy. It was like, oh, okay, like Zasalamel's cool too. But obviously, Ivy took the stage not only for aesthetics, but like seeing like her old gameplay style come back into was really fun.
That was super cool. Seeing the stance change was like, oh, that's sweet.
Let's talk about Metal Gear Survive, everybody's favorite game that hit last week. Nobody's mad at this game. So Metal Gear Survive makes you pay for additional saves in the game. This is already a budget game, as they say, at $50, I believe it is. So that apparently makes this okay. And basically it says to make a new character and effectively a new game save in Metal Gear Survive, you either have to delete your existing avatar or pay 1,000 SV coins. SV coins are in-game currency that may be purchased with real-world money. To get 1,000 of them is going to cost you at least $10.
Holy shit.
It's similar to an MMO that you paid for having one character slot. And then it's like, you want a second character slot? That's another $10.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
That's trash. And the game's like,
and on
not
top of
very
that, the
good.
game's just not that.
Yeah,
great,
it's not like a horrible game, but it's kind of like you feel that why does this exist with it, which
why is this a Metal Gear game?
yeah, honestly, it doesn't have the Metal Gear charm or the quirk or the humor or that stealth or all the stuff Metal Gear is known for. None of that's in the game.
Yeah.
But there's zombies, so
Zombies and microtransactions. That's got to be a good game.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's get away from this game. Let's talk about DICE really quick. I'm just going to go over a couple of these ones that stand out to me. So DICE Awards are, a lot of people hold them to really high regard. A lot of people don't, because there's so many hands that are voting on these things. And they're more celebrating the art of video games and the technical aspects of video games. They're really a deep dive into kind of the developer side of it. But I'm just going to throw out some of the winners. Not too many surprises, honestly. There was one that I was like, oh my gosh, awesome. But that's about it. So we have Game of the Year going to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, like most other places. Breath of the Wild also won Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction, Outstanding Achievement in Game Design, Adventure Game of the Year. Odyssey went and took Outstanding Achievement in Sound, which I thought was pretty interesting. Another huge winner of the night was Cuphead, which took Animation, Art Direction, Music. So it got its nod for music, which is interesting. Fighting game went to Injustice 2 for you over there, Todd. Strategy simulation game went to Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Immersive reality went to Lone Echo Arena. That also won technical and their Game of the Year for their reality stuff. Snipper Clips won Family Game of the Year, which I thought was interesting because it was just, I remember that category before for the Game Awards, and it was like Mario Kart 8 or Odyssey. Like, nobody thought of Snipper Clips, but that's what won it. Some of these are so interesting. Outstanding Achievement in Character went to Hellblade. I'm glad I got that one. Cool. I also agree with that. And then some interesting ones where I'm like, achievement in online gameplay went to PlayerUnknown's Battleground, which
PC online,
which is interesting. Mobile Game of the Year went to Fire Emblem Heroes. Yep. So handheld game of the year went to Metroid: Samus Returns. So they're still not considering the Switch a handheld. That was something that is still confusing, I think. It's a console that you can take with you. Mm-hmm. They're not looking at it as a handheld that you can dock, even though that's kind of how Nintendo sort of pitched it. And then the one that surprised me was role-playing game of the year went to Nier.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of surprising. I remember watching the stream of that because nobody was there to accept the award. Mm-hmm. He was just like, it goes to Nier. And he was like, well, this is awkward. Nier's an awesome game. Yeah. And he just walked off the stage. And it's like, I guess they didn't think that they were going to win it or something. I don't know. Crazy. So, anyway, those were the DICE Awards. Some of the ones that I feel like mattered at least. Next up, let's move into some questions and comments. First off, Zach Yoder says, Command Mission is a pretty okay game. It's not great, but it's worth a playthrough. And that is in relation to the X collection I was talking about being on Switch. Command Mission is technically one of the X games in the series. Something that you could throw into because they're splitting that into two collections somehow. It's something that you could throw into one collection. Not a game a lot of people know. Probably not a game a lot of people have nostalgia for.
probably the last person picked on the dodgeball or the kickball team
like,
sort of thing. It's the last one. You're like, I don't want it. Do you want it? Nah.
And I don't have any
Cool
faith.
wheelchair.
I don't have any faith that they're going to put that particular like spin-off on it because they had the opportunity with the second Legacy Collection to put in Mega Man and Base, which is like a canon version of one of the games that takes place in between 7 and 8, and they didn't even put that in. So I have no faith that they're going to put Command Mission or Maverick Hunter X or all these other spin-offs into this collection. I think they're going to do bare bones. No one's going to buy the second collection because they're all significantly worse games than the first collection. But anyway, another question that I want to hop to really quick, or comment that I want to hop to really quick, is Alexander Chilton says, I'm curious, besides trophies, why would you ever get an indie title on PS4 if you have a Switch? So this is a good question that was brought up, and I wanted to double back to it because it's getting to kind of the end of my I've got a lot of indies on my Vita, and I feel like this is the last year for the Vita for me. As much as I love it, I think the Switch is going to start taking over by the end of this year. There's still some reasons, I think, to get the indies on the PlayStation 4. Obviously, if you have both and you get the cross-play thing, that is huge for you because you get the portable and the docked. Sony likes to do sales. Sony likes to get exclusive rights to indie games. But I think some big ones are, like, if it's an online game, do you want to do the PS4 online or do you want to do the Switch online? Like, that ecosystem's just more developed and you know, there's a lot more parts that work. They break sometimes, but there's a lot more parts that work. Whereas Nintendo, we still don't even know what they're doing for their online stuff like that. And then, obviously, if you're doing, like, pixel art's fine. But there's some, like, I guess it's not technically now, but, like, we can say Hellblade, that on Switch versus that on PS4 are going to be very different games. And
that's the AAA indie games where it's starting to blur the line there too.
Right,
so.
Those ones that like more like the Rhymes and stuff like that. Like, I mean, you can look at Rhyme; it's on both, and it's significantly better on PS4. So there's definitely reasons. But with that said, I'm starting to. If I can ever get off my love of trophies, I think this might be the last year for my Vita for me, and I've been I was talking to Craig about it. I'm trying to get through all my Vita games that I still have a bunch that I haven't opened that I want to go through. And there's some games that have been like announced for the Vita that still aren't out, and they're already announced on the Switch. And I'm like, I guess I'll just get it on the Switch when it comes out. So, if you have anything to add, you can go ahead and throw your hat in the ring.
Controls can play a part in that too.
Controller,
I mean, the Pro, is that what they're called? The Pro controllers for the Switch, they're good. They're fine. But also too, like, there's some of the gimmick type of stuff that I don't know. It's just like sometimes if you just want the straightforward game, like, you just get it for the PlayStation. I
will throw Control as well, where you can play it portably, but there's certain, like, Shantae is a good example. Yeah. Like, side scrollers with that analog stick are a little awkward, and then that D-pad on the Switch is bad. Like, it's the first time Nintendo's had a bad D-pad. So you almost have to bring a Pro Controller with you when you're doing the portable thing, and, you know, there's things.
Also, too, if it's one of those where you'd rather just keep all your indie games on your console, storage-wise, it makes more sense to throw it on, like, the 1 terabyte PlayStation.
You can cloud save your stuff. If you drop your Switch and it breaks, you literally lose everything. Like, they're just behind in some features. Even, like, maybe you like listening to Spotify, like, on the PlayStation or maybe you like streaming it. Like, some of these things are just easier on PS4. That being said, if you go on the bus all the time or you have some sort of commute, then the Switch is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
So.
I don't have either of these.
Thanks,
PC, baby.
Yeah, if PC is in the mix, then don't even bother with the other two. Thanks. Right. See you later.
Zach Yoder brings up a topic for us, which is I've heard a lot of people say that reviewers give Nintendo games review a bump because it's a Nintendo game. Do you guys think this is true? An example people used last year was Zelda Breath of the Wild. They said it would have been a 7 or 8, but because it was Zelda, it's a 10. What do you guys think? Are Nintendo games generally overrated, or are they really just that good?
I think they're overrated like crazy.
Largely overrated. I mean, just look at Jim Sterling last year when he corrected his score a little bit, but I think he still gave it a 6 or a 7. And
I know he at least gave it a 7.
He gave it some legitimate knocks. Like, it takes you out of the action. It does this, it does that, and for that reason, I'm giving it a 7 or whatever he ended up. But, people want to, like, kill him.
Yeah, they took down his website and all this stuff.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know. I do honestly feel like, I don't know if he pulled that quote from someone or if it was just, like, unnamed employee at website said this, but wouldn't want to give his name. But, yeah, like, I think it just gets some... Basically, I feel like as far as, like, if you think of, like, a game of bowling, you pull the bumpers up, like, a game can't just, like, completely strike out. Like, if it's just does its thing and it feels like every other Mario game or every other Zelda, and if it just does the bare minimum, then it's just going to get the strike, and it's a 10, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, how many PlayStation games, like Uncharted, like, they will get the 9.2s and the 9.3s and the 4s and the 5s, but no one's ever going to give it a 10. Maybe an IGN might, but it's not like across the board.
Say, Uncharted 3 got a 10.
It's like the dominoes fall, and it's just like 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Like,
not only like reviewers do this though, like just like people in general, like Nintendo fans, they have this like weird nostalgia with Nintendo games.
Yeah,
so, like,
so I have a whole bunch of... I'm gonna hijack the conversation and start with some of my reasons because that is going to be in there. So my first one is Nintendo makes bad games. People just don't talk about them.
Right.
Star Fox Zero. How often do you hear that brought up in a conversation? Like people,
not pleasantly.
Well, people just kind of like, oh yeah, they did that, but also they did Mario and they did Zelda and they did all this stuff. Like they make like Chibi Robo, not a good game. Like they have these games that just aren't great. They did that horrible Wii U tennis game. Like the
lot
Mario,
of bad Wii U games.
like the Mario tennis on Wii U is, but then people are like, ooh. But Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, like, whereas I feel like Sony, if you bring up a good game, people are like, yeah, but they did Knack and they did The Order, and like people attack with the bad games that they've done. Whereas I feel like Nintendo, people don't even bring up the bad games. They're only talking about good. So it's a little bit like, I feel like comic books kind of do this a lot, where people are always like, oh, The Killing Joke and all these great comics. And it's like, there's a lot of really bad comics that just nobody brings up that, companies do.
Well, same thing. Like, oh, Marvel's the best. And it's like, did you see Incredible Hulk? Did you see Iron Man 2?
Like they have a lot of bad things. And they're like, yeah, but they did the one with the team up, and it was really good. It's like,
forever.
So then they also have, I feel like they put themselves in a situation that neither of the other companies put themselves in. Like Xbox and PlayStation are easy to compare to each other. They both have regular controllers. They both play games. They both have that iterative console. They both have exclusives that you can kind of compare. And then Nintendo's like, our console has weird waggle controls and
a cardboard box,
and you can and a cardboard box, and you can do this eating mini game with the controller. And it's like, how do you compare that to Horizon? Yeah. It's like,
well, I mean, just think about it. Their system can get away with not having online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can get away with a lot of stuff, and it's because they keep everybody's expectations low for a lot of things. And then I feel like when they do drop the huge thing, everybody loses their mind because their expectations were pretty low. Like compare Mario Galaxy to 99% of the games on the Wii. Like, that game looks amazing.
Like, is Zelda so good that it can forgive a system for not having 1080p on some games? It feels like having like sluggish problems with some games that can't even run on it, like Zelda and Xenoblade and a couple other things. And it doesn't have 4K. It doesn't have online. It doesn't have like multiplayer. Like none of that. Like, are those games so good that you can forgive all those other things? And that's where I say no.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't have a Switch and I'm not gonna get one. It's just like, doesn't impress me. The games are like, I mean, there might be some good games, but nothing's like, man, I really want to buy this game. Like, someone's like, dude, you should play this Mario game, and I played it for like 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
Or play this Zelda game. I'm like, this is
and
fine.
4 people with one, so, and it's still a party game system to me, at least. Like, I'm not going to go off in my epic 100-hour adventure on that system.
Right.
But yeah, like when it's time to play those sorts of games, you know where to go, and 1 out of the 4 people just have to have brought their system, and you're good to go. Sort of thing.
To the rooftop party. On top of that, I think that new IPs get judged fairly for Nintendo. Like, they come out with ARMS, and I feel like people give actual criticisms of ARMS because it's a new thing that Nintendo's doing. Splatoon is another really good, like, they're trying things. You could even argue, like, Kid Icarus Uprising is borderline a new IP because it's a brand new way to kind of do that style. But anything else that is an old IP, you get the nostalgia factor, and that's kind of my next thing. I feel like everybody likes at least one Nintendo franchise a lot. Like, you can like whatever, like, oh, that one's okay, I don't really like this, but like, I really like Animal Crossing. Like, Animal Crossing's awesome. You really like Pokemon.
I really like Pokemon as well.
Like, you really
Fire
like,
Emblem.
I feel like there's always a Nintendo franchise that they can get you with, and so you have all these different opinions where everybody's arguing a different game that they love because they really do love it, but that person maybe they don't like Zelda that much, you know? And then on top of that, with everybody liking that franchise, those are the people who get hired to do reviews, because a lot of people were brought up with Nintendo, so people are probably tripping over themselves to review the Mario game. Like, they're going to give it to somebody. They're not going to give it to the guy who doesn't like Mario. And that brings me back to, I wanted to find the magazine before we started filming, but that brings me back to old magazines where they had like somebody who loves it review it, somebody who's new to it, and somebody who's
ZGM,
like
wasn't it?
But I have one. Cool. I have one that has Wind Waker, and it's a 10, a 9, and a 6. And they each explain why they think that's the review for it out of 10. And like, until that system comes back, and it won't because it costs too much money, and they just won't do that. I feel like you're just going to get the person who loves Nintendo offer to review the Nintendo thing because they want it early and they want to play it, and then they end up loving it.
Look at whether it's audio, verbal, or the text reviews, and at least one paragraph out of that review for every Zelda game, every Mario game says, and it makes me remember, and it's just like, there it is. There's your 2-point buffer right there. It made me think of Ganondorf back in the day, and 10.
Yeah, the last thing I want to throw out is the they love it at the time situation, where Skyward Sword is the easiest example. You look at people talk trash about Skyward Sword, and there's people who I like Skyward Sword quite a lot, but there's people who trash talk Skyward Sword, all this stuff, and then you go and read their review of it, and they give it a perfect score. It's like, I don't understand. Why'd you give it a perfect score? You know, like, so there's a lot going into it, and I think it's the hype machine of Nintendo builds people up so high and all this stuff. But
yeah, that's why I don't feel like Nintendo 10s are like a PlayStation 10. Like, if something got a 10 across the board for a PlayStation or Xbox game or PC for that matter, like, it would just be like,
yeah, I'm like,
this game,
I gotta check this shit out.
This game just like redefined video gaming or something. Like, something's up here. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, when a Nintendo game gets it, you almost go into it expecting it to get a 10. I remember with IGN, I forget what game it was, what Nintendo game. It wasn't. It obviously wasn't. It may have been Metroid: Samus Returns or something along those lines. Where I clicked on the thing in IGN, and I go through it, and I'm like, all right, this is got to be like, what, 9.5, 9, and I get down and it's like a 7 something. And I was like, whoa. Like, I was surprised that the Nintendo game didn't get a super high score. That's probably not good. That's probably not a good
and like I said,
situation.
Like, maybe that bowling analogy was pretty good, but like, you're going to get a much higher score when you can't miss sort of things. So it's just one of those, like I said, a 10 for a Nintendo feels like maybe like an 8.5, 8.8, something like that. But like I said, the games aren't good enough to cover Nintendo itself and its console's weaknesses of it. It's probably a generation or two still behind as far as its features, and it's more expensive than all the other ones. Yeah, the actual Switch itself, but when you buy like a controller and a game, it's just like, this is like a $600 machine all of a sudden.
Yeah, but I do like the back and forth that Nintendo fans had recently with the Zelda Mario thing, how there were so many people in the Zelda camp and so many people in the Mario camp. And it's just interesting because, like, I really liked both games, but like, I do think Mario is like a 10 game. Like, Mario was awesome. And then Zelda, I'm like, well, I have all these issues with Zelda, but so many people are the other way with Zelda, and they're like, oh, Mario was okay.
I think they're both fine.
Xenoblade is where it's at.
All right. Is Xenoblade Nintendo proper? Or is that another company that's just like a second party game?
That.
It's a second
option
party.
B, yeah.
Okay. Let's stick on the Switch really quick. I'm sorry, Todd. We'll do this one rather quickly, and that is
Put them to sleep.
what third-party game would you like ported to Switch? So we've got the Dark Souls coming our way. Wolfenstein 2 apparently is on its way. Payday is coming out. So what third-party game would you like to see on the Switch?
Todd?
Bloodborne.
Wow, that can't happen for multiple reasons. Nick, how about you?
This is another oddball answer. I don't want third-party games on the Switch. I just want the first
You want
and
the
second
Wii
party.
U.
Basically.
We have a console for you. It's called the Wii U.
I feel like when these games, obviously the technology gap I just mentioned, it just feels like the dumbed-down version of something
Sometimes,
you get everywhere else. I mean,
But it's portable.
Cool. So's my phone.
I mean, I can't think. I mean, at least my life, I'm either driving or at work or hanging out. Like, I don't get much out of the mobile aspect.
Yeah.
The most mobility I get out of it is taking it from here to the couch, and it's just like I feel like playing it right here, sort of thing. And I'd say 50% of the time, like it's a 50-50 shot. The controls for playing it mobile kind of counteract. Like I'd rather see it on the big screen and play with controllers.
The controls are a little rough.
Plug a controller into the like mobile switch, it just kind of defeats the purpose, sort of thing. But yeah, I don't want third-party games. I don't want them focused on, like, if they get them, cool. I mean, look what happened with, what was it, wrestling? WW.
Oh, yeah, that was bad. That was a bad mistake. Don't do that one.
You just get a dumbed-down version of it, or you have to put in some gimmicky thing to make it feel like an all-new game. Like, just do your Marios and your Zeldas and, you know, beef up what you got and just make new franchises, I guess. Just don't do it.
Interesting. I'm going to go a different route. I want, I would love the Kingdom Hearts 1.2, 2.5 on there. Basically RPGs. That's what I like on the system because it does have that portable aspect, and I think RPGs are great at home, and I think RPGs are great portable. You can do your grinding and your kind of tedious stuff on the go, and you can do your story-related things portably, and, you know, Kingdom Hearts is one that comes to mind because it hasn't been on the Nintendo as far as, like, these remasters and things go, and I think it would fit, and I think it would sell well, and I think it makes sense, because some of those are, like, 3DS games and DS games, but they haven't had any of the core ones.
And if I had to give like a non-douchebag answer, like I gave Phantasy Star, which obviously it sounds like it's happening or is confirmed to happen or whatever's going on
in Japan, probably. Yeah,
for Japan. But that's the only type of game that I would want, like that's going to be across different systems that I would want to show up on the Switch, because that one I can definitely see.
So you wouldn't want Persona 5 Switch?
No.
Really? So I would buy Persona 5 Switch in a heartbeat.
Well, like I said, it would just be a dumbed down version of it. Then I'm just
would
like,
it?
Well, why wouldn't I just go play the PS4 Pro version of it?
Because you can grind on the couch while football's on, or while you watch the animes. I'm winning you over.
I have three computer screens. So.
Yeah, my TV screen, and then it's just like over there, so I can just have the anime going on right there. So I don't know. Grindy type games, I play it until it's like 11:30 or 12 at night. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go to sleep, and then just go to bed. It gets bad when you're playing games and you take it to bed and you're playing games because it'll be 3, and then
your girlfriend's like, hey, cuddle with me. I'm like, I'm playing.
Or then you'll wake up tomorrow and you'll be like, your boss like, you're fired. So,
you're fired.
So someone's mad at you if you go that route, I think. So
Interesting. Well, that was not where the conversation I thought was going to go, but that's where it went. So here we are. You can let us know what games you would want on the Switch, because clearly we're not good at this. Let's move into the releases and then get out of here. So real quick, Gravel, Xbox One coming February 26th. Deblob 2 coming to PS4, Xbox One, February 27th. Immortal Redneck, Xbox One exclusive, baby.
Finally.
February 27th.
Finally.
Rift Star Raiders, Xbox One, February 27th. A lot of Xbox One games. Payday 2 coming to the Switch, February 27th. And I do want to point out that there's a lot of controversy with it. Not controversy, but there's a lot of chatter with this game because you can't talk in the game. They don't have support for the voice app that Nintendo uses to get online
Number
to make
one system.
parties. And I don't know if you've ever played Payday, but that is a strategy game where you kind of want to talk to people to plan out your heist. So that's not a great...
It's like me playing Terrorist Hunt or the Warhammer game with a group of people and we can't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Or I'm too lazy to talk to the other people, I should say, and we die.
Yeah, so that's a little strange. They said they're going to add it after, but I don't know. And also they announced that the Payday 2 that they're getting is the old version of Payday 2.
I see. Give it a 10.
And then finally, Darkest Dungeon is coming to Xbox One February 28th, and that's interesting
Feels
because
incredibly late.
I was just about to say that's the game that's on Vita that I'm like, well, it's on Switch now, so I should probably just buy it for Switch.
Yeah.
That was the game I was thinking of. That and Salt and Sanctuary. So it's interesting that I guess it's coming to Xbox.
Well, yeah, if you're a Xbox One only person, then definitely get that. That game's real
Darkest
good.
Dungeon's sweet. Another game that I feel like is probably better on portable though.
Better on PC.
I don't ever I can't think of a time when I would use a portable system.
Have you ever left your house?
Yeah.
That's
I'm
when
either
you
going to
use
work
it.
or I'm going to dinner or
Yeah.
I'm driving.
Yeah, no, I sort of agree. I use them a lot. Like, I like to bring my portable systems with me, and then I don't end up using them.
Yeah.
And then when I don't bring them with me, I'm like, man, if I only had my Switch, I could be playing
and I
this game
understand
right
it too
now. And
because
it
like
never
when it
happens.
was like the years of like Game Boy Color, like I would start off the day, I would charge it overnight, wake up, go to school, take it with me. Battery would be dead by the end of the day because
Yeah.
it would be class and I'm sitting here like,
But I also
ooh,
didn't
got
have
the Pikachu.
I didn't have
you
a
know?
cell phone at that time.
Yeah, that too. So now it's just this.
yeah, you
thing's
didn't have a
batteries.
mobile game that played itself.
Yeah, I used to take poops and chill on my Game Boy for 20 minutes and have a hernia
Yeah.
when I'm done. But now I just get on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for this episode
You
of
don't
the
take poops
Prexix
anymore?
podcast.
All right, let's wrap it up, boys.
Thank you for being here, Todd.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for being here, Nick.
It is really hot in
Oh,
here.
it sure is. Thank you
Arms
so much
weak,
for
palms
watching.
spaghetti. Palms are sweaty.
We'll speak with you next time.